And a health innovator is going to meet collaborators with material chemists. This is how the systems of innovation is born, not in silos, but in symphonies. Because there is no single industry or product that arises and reaches the market out of a single scientific discipline. Hence, this platform. The fourth value why we wanted to have this summit is for us to begin to create the global and local relevance. Our ambition is not to copy. It is to contextualize. We are convinced that there is a lot of room reserved by science and innovation for any nation which at any time takes that decisive decision and action to join the world of innovation. There is a price to pay, however. There is a price of hard work. There is a price of understanding that you have to think differently. You will not go far by simple imitation and walking in historical steps where the highest value has already been mined. But you can stand on the foundations of science and innovate and create. That's the beauty of innovation. We turn challenges into value. Actually, challenges are the raw materials upon which we work. And so I should never hear a scientist grumbling and complaining helplessly, because the presence of a problem signals creation of a solution, which is your fodder. So we want to craft a niche for ourselves. Our unique approach as Uganda is to take the global scientific principles and reimagine them through the Ugandan lens, responding to our needs, our climate, our culture, our geographical location and geopolitical positioning, the era of industrial revolutions, and our current economic context and aspirations. And that is how we are moving from imitation to original contribution. What makes Uganda's STI approach unique? Under the leadership of His Excellency the President and the support of the frameworks that support him, the Vice President, the Prime Minister's Office, the colleague ministers, the Cabinet, the support of the Parliament, which has enabled us to move this far, is that we have crafted a distinctly Ugandan path. One that anchors on the deep scientific fundamentals, not quick fixes. We do not follow quick fixes. It imbues original, unique thought rooted in context, history, and relevance. It accelerates implementation through a result-oriented, mission-driven governance framework at all levels. And most importantly, it places people at the center, building Uganda's innovation from the household to the community to the global stage. This hybrid of scientific rigor, and I would like to give an example of a beautiful orchestra that we have built, linking our formerly known herbalists, now known as indigenous scientists, and building it into a symphony up to the topmost science of clinical trials, and coming out with unique products that meet requirements far beyond even what is on the market. We have bust myths, and soon in the next few years, I believe Uganda is going to be unleashing drugs that cure hitherto declared incurable diseases. So as we open this summit, it is my passionate call to all of us in the academia and research arena. Please let your research, let your teaching speak to the urgent questions of our economy. Train not for numbers of graduates, for the sake of history, because that is how it has always been, or for some other mundane academic tradition, because you want to fit into a global architecture. For problem solving, relevant in the context of our nation and our region, and our space and our time. I thus call upon you not to attach yourself to rigid curricula, but become innovators of curriculum daily, so as to become relevant in every step of the Industrial Revolution which is unfolding in this nation. Private sector, I appeal to you to invest in Uganda's innovations. Bet on our brains. Partner with our makers. I assure you, ignoring the current wave of innovation and technologies which are emerging will soon render you relevant in the market. So I want to encourage you not to nurture entrepreneurial suicide, but to embrace this surging wave of innovation in the country. See how to embrace it within what you're doing, and we'll partner with the government so that we build offtake for our innovations emerging out of research institutions and academic institutions, and out of the sometimes the most unexpected places of our Juakali. Let us create room for them. Otherwise, if we continue doing private sector traditionally, importing technology, there is an emerging new economy upon which we are going to appeal to Ugandans to take at heart. The traders take our products and build the relevant chains of trade so that later you don't cry foul. Our development partners, I appeal to you to support Uganda's unique STI vision, not as charity, but as investment in a rising innovation economy. Invest in the future donor country, because that's the goal now. We want to see Uganda as a donor nation who will come to support your work. Industrial revolutions come, the ones who benefit most are those who align quickly, especially the youth. I call upon you to pay interest. Do not meet every announcement, every pronouncement that appears on your social media with a negative barrier. You are going to remain behind, because Outside your social media cocoon, there are many that are moving ahead. If you barrier yourself from noticing what is happening, you're going to find yourself in a zone of no benefit. Because undoubtedly, your future job, your mobility, the medicine, the technology that you use, and the services that you are going to need are herein embedded. As I come to the close of my remarks, I want to state that there are no angels and miracle workers at STI. We are ordinary men and women, made of flesh and blood, bred in the same environment, breathing the same air, experiencing the same things that everybody is experiencing, with the same circumstances. But we have made a conscious choice to lay our lives for this cause. And at this moment, I would like to request the STI staff who are in the congregation to stand up for recognition. These are mostly young men and women. As the minister charged with the responsibility to provide the technical and policy leadership, I chose a path of implementing this with the people. The technical staff are young, they are ordinary Ugandans. They have laid a foundation for a work ethic which has transformed science, technology, and innovation in short 4 years. Because this work ethic works, and we have demonstrated it works, and it can transform any sector, we embrace the laws of science, which include the scientific process which guides our decision making, the idea to market journey which guides our support framework to innovations, the value chain analysis which helps us to answer the question, where is the money? The ecosystem thinking which helps us to embrace all players in the ecosystem, even those who had not thought they are part of it, and we harness value. And we have embraced this last one, brutal integrity. Brutal integrity. For science does not tolerate corruption. If you ever fly in an airplane which lacks 5% of the technology because a corrupt scientist diverted that money, you may not live to tell the story. We have been joined in this crusade by an array of science institutions and scientists and innovators. And they have heard this gospel, and they have a reason. I've seen many of them translate their ideas in record time. So now we invite the public, the media, all of you to join in this crusade. And within a few years, we shall forget where we were when we started the journey. Let this be known across our land. Uganda is no longer waiting to be transformed. Uganda is doing the transforming. We are building not just products, but a culture of innovation. Not just industries, but scientific sovereignty. Not just factories, but a knowledge-driven civilization. And as we open this summit, the first one ever, we do it with a deep conviction that science, when contextualized, prioritized, and democratized, is the highest form of patriotism and the surest path to prosperity. Let us rise, let us innovate, let us make in Uganda and make Uganda known. Let us commit to polishing this pearl, the pearl of Africa. Let us make Uganda the best. For God and my country, thank you for listening. And with these remarks, I wish to declare the first Uganda National Science Summit officially opened.
Ladies and gentlemen, another moment of applause to Honorable Minister. I kindly request that before the Minister leaves us, we all join here and take a photo, and then, of course, she will come back later. But let's now come in front, dear scientists, and then we can take a photo with the Honorable Minister to commemorate. We can come here in front. Let's come and take a photo with Honorable Minister. But thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for setting a stage for science and innovation in this country. You have done us well. Since 2021, we have seen a rigorous change in the innovation ecosystem of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, let's all come. We can fit on this platform and take a photo to commemorate the first National Science Summit. This is the first of its kind, and therefore you shouldn't miss in the photo. Okay, let's move to the stairs. I think that is more appealing, so that everyone else can join on the side. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for making it. My desire is that your faces not miss on this very first inaugural National Science Summit. Thank you very much. This is memorable, and we want it in the books of history that Uganda held the very first National Science Summit under the leadership of Honorable Minister Dr. Monica Msenero. Thank you. Okay, Brenda is saying one more chance. One more chance. Okay. Here we have youngsters, innovators who are ready to join in. Thank you, Brenda, for recognizing these young people. All right, that's very important and more in order for the young people to be part of this important milestone. As we take the photo, we want to recognize all the STI technical team that the minister has introduced to us, Dr. Cosmas Mwichize and the team, Madam Brenda and the team. Thank you very much for the good work you're doing at STI. We are so proud of you for making Uganda the best. Thank you very much. I would request that we take our seats. I've been advised by the Honorable Minister that we are going to sign the clinical trial report when she's back. So we will allow her to leave and then she will sign the clinical trial report when she comes back. We thank the Minister and we thank everyone for this first session. We are now moving in with a few changes that have happened on our program, and I would like to introduce this change so that you are able to know. So the abstracts that we are going to follow are going to come a little bit later. At this moment, we are going to have the first panel, and after the panel, after two panels, we are going to delve into a presentation of the scientific work that has been screened out of the 100 plus abstracts that were received by the scientific team. So I request that we organize our platform, and then we'll have a panel that is chaired by Madam Brenda Nakaziwe. That is panel 2, which is building innovation-driven enterprises in the pathogen economy. Yeah, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are so glad for all the representation from different universities, the great innovators here. I have seen my friend Professor Patrick Kogwang. Thank you very much for your groundbreaking COVIDX. Ladies and gentlemen, you're most welcome and recognized. Let me invite the following panelists that are going to be modulated by Madame Brenda Nakaziwe. That's the panel we are beginning with, and that panel will be followed by panel 1 in our book, which will be modulated by Professor Paul Wako. So let me invite Brenda to take over this particular part, but allow me to invite the following to come in front as Brenda takes over the modulation. Mr. Edward Kazire of Kazire Herbal Products. Let's clap for him as he comes in front. Thank you very much. I'd like to welcome Mr. Brian Kavuya. Mr. Brian Kavuya, can you take over? Okay, Mr. Cedric Akwesige. Let's clap for them. Dr. Matthias Magola. Dr. Matthias Magola, come over. Let's clap for Dr. Magola. Thank you very much. Over, Brenda. Thank you.
Which one? Thank you very much, and a very good morning once again. We are very, very, very delighted to have you here this morning. Thank you for coming in large, huge numbers to attend the first National Science Summit. It is embedded in our National Science Week, and indeed, this is where the conversation on the back end of science happens. I have distinguished gentlemen on the panel coming from the pathogen economy. This is the bureau I lead. My name is Brenda Nakazibwe. I am the team leader, the pathogen economy. What is the pathogen economy? At the Science, Technology and Innovation Secretariat, Office of the President. Here we support, we coordinate the science ecosystem in the areas of research and development relating to response tools to health threats. So we span human, animal, and plant health. So this morning, our topic is, we are looking at players in the industry, in the pathogen economy, who have come up with safe products. And our theme, our panel theme this morning is building innovation-driven enterprises in the pathogen economy. So as we talk vaccines, diagnostics, therapeutics, you are going to see what we've been able to achieve in this field as a country, but as we also go beyond the borders of this country. Our first presenter this morning is talking about revolutionizing healthcare, Africa's quest for affordable biological drugs. We want to now welcome Dr. Matthias Magola to speak to us. Let's welcome him.
The Honourable Minister, the Ambassador, members of Parliament, fellow scientists, fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen, it is sad that what Ugandans do not know is there are drugs that are out of reach to the African people, including the one who's for treating sickle cell. There are two treatments for sickle cell that have been approved by FDA, Kasigavi and Lifegenia. One costs $3.1 million. The other, the cheapest, costs $2.2 million. These are gene therapy products. I wonder how many Ugandans or how many Africans can really afford the cost of these drugs. So what we are doing at Day Biopharma is to try and bring the cost of biological drugs down so that our people can afford it. It's the reason why at Day Biopharma, sitting on more than 250 acres of land at Matuga, and I want all of you to visit, by the way, we are setting up more than 26 different manufacturing units, from biologics, vaccines, nutraceuticals, ointments, injectable, cephalosporins, carbapenem, oncology, small molecule. Name it. We want to be the center of excellence in Africa. We've been named as the largest pharmaceutical facility on the African continent by consultants from WHO and FDA, Food and Drug Administration of the US. What you see in Matuga is what they call real innovation. We are not only talking about manufacturing, we are talking about innovation. I'll give you an example. My first patent that I filed in the US, you've heard that I have more than 100 patents in the US, and I continue to file more, treat different diseases. But guess what? The first patent that I filed in the US is used for treatment of acute kidney failure, severe anemia, and virus cancers. This drug is called dabiquatin. It's a biological drug. I don't know, I was discussing with the Cancer Institute the other day when they visited me at Matuga. They don't have this drug. Because the dose is about $30,000, a dose. So guess what I did? I filed a patent on this drug, and I'm the first one to do so, to make this product using mRNA. And when I use mRNA to make this drug, I reduce the cost by 95%, the current cost. So when I made this drug, I went to the US FDA, and I'm the first one in the world to go to the US FDA with a product that has been made with a therapeutic protein that has been made using mRNA. Did you understand that? Because all biological drugs are using a recombinant process. My brother here knows what we go through. He's a fellow scientist. When you make these biological drugs using a recombinant technology, they are not affordable to us. But I filed a research paper in a peer-reviewed journal, and I wish you had projected it for people to see. It won the best molecular biologist award in the world. I'm teaching the world that when we want to make these products affordable, use mRNA. And I have a research paper on that. It was published in a peer-reviewed journal, which is headquartered in the US and Switzerland. Now, what are we doing in Matuga? What are we doing with our more than 100 patents? This first drug that I took to the FDA, and the FDA actually agreed with the development plan. The minutes are there to that effect. What we are doing in Matuga is to manufacture these biological drugs, to manufacture these vaccines that have not been affordable for the first time on the African continent, in Uganda. Can't we clap for that? Because in Uganda we import more than 90% essential drugs. We want to change that by ensuring that we manufacture all the drugs that Uganda needs. And we are doing it right there in Matuga. So, what are we saying? What are we doing? We want to assure Ugandans that first of all, we thank our president, the president of this country. We thank the Honorable Minister of Innovation, who have given us all this support. Because you know that to bring a single molecule, a biological molecule to market, the cost is around $3 to $5 billion. This drug I made, every year, it generates about $10 billion in sales for a single company. So by making this affordable in Africa, we are not only going to multiply the fortunes of this country, we are bringing real solutions so that other people who have not been affording these drugs can afford them for the first time on the African continent. I thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Magola, for the great work happening there. Indeed, we are building this economy. No longer are we going to look at things as, oh my God, this is a scale of disease, we are going to be impoverished by disease, but we are using the same pathogens to actually come up with solutions. That's the name, the pathogen economy. And right after Dr. Magola, we are calling on Dr. Cedric Akwesije. You're very welcome to speak to the great delegates here. You're welcome.
The Honorable Minister. The Honorable Minister, the Ambassador, Member of Parliament that are available today, protocol observed. Good morning. I'm so excited that Brenda and her team, they chose a Monday morning to talk about science. This is very important. Very, very important, because on a Monday morning with a lot of fresh energy from the weekend and then we start talking about science. This is very, very important. I'm Dr. Cedric Akwesije. I'm the MD of Microhim Group of Companies. I'm here to talk about, they requested me to talk about two things. How, question one was, to scale up pharma manufacturing in Uganda, and how can Uganda fast track? How can Uganda fast track this pharma manufacturing? Now, there are 4 key important activities if you are going to set up and manufacture a product in health. Number 1 is the infrastructure. The infrastructure for manufacturing a bioproduct, product that's going to be used on a human being, has a standard. It's not the usual brick and mortar, and that part costs some good money. The second part is the science, the technology, the development, the R&D part. The third part is human resource. In biomanufacturing, not everyone has capacity or has gotten the skill. So the skill set, actually when we were discussing this issue in 2022, when we were, I don't know whether you know that what we are talking about here is a continental agenda. When we are discussing how do we break out, how does this African continent break itself from the problem of importing almost 100% of health products it is using. One of the challenges they gave us was, they put across was, where are you going to get the skill set? And the fourth part is the money. Biomanufacturing is not cheap. You know, when I hear some people talking about budget, what money, I just wish they can understand what they're talking about. It's a very expensive venture. But how do we do this in our continent? How do we stand out and still succeed with all these challenges ahead of us? Okay? So one is we have to look in-house. Which capacity do we have in-house? For example, do you know that there's no bigger farmer in the outside countries? What do they call? They call them overseas diaspora. Okay, where you will go and you find the entire production team or the research and development team when there's no black talk of any of these. So we have a huge capacity as Africa that we can call back our black brothers to do what they have been doing out there and do it here. After talking about this, let me just show you one example. Professor Alex, can you stand up? This Professor Alex is an American. He's been there for over 20 years. He has developed so many products, has taught so many. This Professor Alex is known even, he's a man from Guru here. But do you know the products coming to Africa? Thank you, Professor. They are being developed, manufactured by such people, and they are not able to come back here. Why? We don't have the infrastructure. If I have the knowledge to manufacture, but I don't have the infrastructure, I don't have the facility, I don't have a good environment. And that's why sometimes when I talk about our president, I'm so passionate about it. Because he's so visionary that he knows that for us to disentangle ourselves from the slavery, you know there is modern slavery. Forget about the old slavery, where they would come, capture a live human being and take. There is some modern slavery. We can enslave you without taking you from your home. So when the president speaks of disentangling us from this modern slavery, I get so excited. So we can actually tap into that. We actually have the financing. You know what? Someone will say, where are you getting the money? When we were starting, everybody said, where are you going to get the money? And the question was, okay, so where do others get the money? And I want to encourage all of us here. For me, even last time, I said, I wish all of us as a country can go into pathogen economy. And then we leave other continents, so other countries to handle other things. Why? Because, you know, Ugandans are so bright. So that's on the part of financing. Financing, as long as the project is viable, money is always available. Okay, so whenever you go out and you really don't find the financing, look back and check how you wrote your concept. What can you change? So that's one part. How do we make sure we succeed? The other part which I may talk about here is how are we going to grow our skill set? I want to go back to skill set, because a healthy product is a product that is manufactured and is controlled, and with double control, if you can know how many times you will have to go into certification and recertification. So for you to keep that standard, you can attain the standard, but how do you keep the standard? You need to have a very well-trained, skilled team. And this team, I've talked about, we can bring back our people. We can still collaborate with these people who are manufacturing, who are developing these products, and we retrain our people. We train our local team. Okay, so the other part they asked me to talk about is technology transfer. You realize from morning, we are talking about R&D, research and development. For a research, for you to begin from scratch to attain a certified product. My brother, Dr. Matthias Magora here will tell you, you need minimum 4 to 5 years of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to put up a product. When the product is out, you now face the outside world. Everybody wants to come and verify that actually the product is working, because you are dealing with human life. Because of this, how can Uganda also try to join? Because R&D is taking a lot of money, R&D is taking a lot of time. What can we do to join the queue? Add enough before even the queue is full. One way is technology transfer. So technology transfer is a process where you talk to someone whose technology is already certified, and you go into an agreement or a joint venture or any form to have his product already certified, manufactured by your side. The advantage of that is that you quickly go to the market, but it has disadvantages too. One is that you have to manage the relationship, because you know, once I'm the owner, I own, and you have to dance to my tune. Number two is that you must meet the MPAs. They are called minimum purchase agreements. So before you think of a technology transfer discussion, think of where is the market, where is the commitment on the market, where is the offtake of these products, because that's what the owner of the technology is going to ask you to do, to provide. But immediately you have that and you have your agreement solid. One disadvantage is that not many of us in the continent know technology transfer agreement details and those hidden clauses and stuff. But fortunately, WHO has a guideline now on technology transfer. How should a technology transfer agreement look like? And after that, you are good to go. But still, you are not going to escape from the actual standard. The standard must be made. So at MHS, we have gone through, we have two segments. We have our own indigenous development, R&D, research and development, where we think we can, by 2030, you should be able to go to a village in Masaka, a village in Guru or wherever, when there is an outbreak, pick a sample from that patient, come, grow the bacteria or the virus, whatever is causing the causative event, now do a sequence, develop a product. Actually, our target by 2030, when there is an outbreak, 100 days you should have a product, either a diagnostic kit, a test kit, or a vaccine. And that's our route. And that's why you see when COVID came, how long did it take China to start selling out kits? How long did it take US to develop and manufacture a vaccine? Why? Because of R&D. So we have put a huge portion of financing and funds and human resource into R&D. That's one part. But also to access and be present on the market and start putting out your name. Because you know we are like a tiny thing, a tiny insect, among giant elephants. The known elephants of biopharma, you know them. I don't want to mention names. But how do you constantly continue putting your name on the table? Like now I'm talking about microhim here. All right? So one, we also did some products through technology transfer. And we have commercialized them. We have commercialized HIV, RDT, we have commercialized malaria, a PF pan, with a PLDH. I was so excited recently when I saw that our malaria kit, locally made in Uganda, is able to test and confirm someone has malaria when others that are imported are not are misdiagnosing, a false negative. A patient is being in and out of hospital. They are treating bacterial infection. When they randomly, when it comes on a store like this, it tests positive. So these innovations are going to happen, and I don't want, in conclusion, I don't want Africans, and more especially us Ugandans, to feel inferior. There's that inferiority complex. Have you ever been on the road when you have a small car, someone with a big car passes, you feel you want to fast park for this person to pass, but this inferiority complex has to get out of Africa. This we must fight, because those people who are doing it have the same red blood cells, same everything like us. We belong to the same class. So what is the issue? Therefore, at my office, we don't have any issues of saying, you know what, for us we can't do this, we will do it whether it's possible or it is impossible. We will do it. So I want to say thank you so much, and I want to encourage you to keep coming and fighting so hard. All right? Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Cedric. Indeed, patriotism at its best, a continental agenda being started right here in country. We are undoing modern day slavery, and we are going to have our own products hitting the market and also selling outside. We are going through all the approvals, and just watch the space. Okay, in a very short while, for a very short video clip, as I call on Dr. Kazire, okay, as we work on that, Dr. Kazire, want to welcome you to take to the podium to tell us what is happening down where you are. You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Brenda, Honorable Minister, the ambassadors in the House, dear distinguished professors in the House, the Vice Chancellors in the House, all distinguished scientists, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Kazile Health Products is an indigenous pharmaceutical company purely dealing with the natural therapeutics, and we are as old as quarter a century, because I started in 1999, and I'm delighted in the House to see one of the people who steered what you see in me and what you see on the market under Kazire Group, Professor Gwang, in the House, because he was a young man at the Natural Chemotherapeutics Research Institute at the Ministry of Health, which was by then, I think, a small laboratory. It was a Natural Chemotherapeutics Research Lab. And he was there together with Dr. Grace Nambatia. I don't see her around, but she normally graces such functions. And these people, recently when I was with Professor at Mbara University, he's one of my supervisors for my PhD in medicine, which I'm doing at Mbara University of Science and Technology. I told him I will always not only call you professor, but I will always say father of natural medicine. Why? These are people who stood to be called witches, because since until before 2019, any scientist, even him the professor, who was doing any innovations in natural therapeutics was being guided by the 1957 Witchcraft Act. So meaning I had served a long time with him and other scientists as witches. But today, thanks to Uganda, that's why I'm grateful to the leadership of the government of Uganda that by 2019, the Traditional Medicine Bill, the Traditional Medicine and Complementary Medicine Act was put in place, and today we can say we are scientists. And I think it was not a small mark, because this was bringing regulatory hurdles. While we did a lot of innovations, they could not be regulated by National Drug Authority, who is the regulator. And they would say, what you are doing is witchcraft. We cannot regulate you. Here in Uganda, it is a criminal offense to practice in what you are doing. But thank you, you kept leading us, and thanks to the government and the leadership of Uganda, that by 2019, when the whole world believed there was a new way of doing things, that your knowledge you had preserved was called into action and is now legal knowledge. And that it can now contribute to the pathogen economy. So what was witchcraft is now seen as a journey to freedom, and economic reliance of Uganda can be now achieved. It is not only looking at that, but over the 25 years of our practice in natural therapeutics, we have come to a level whereby upon regularizing the practices, beliefs and traditions of all traditional medicine practitioners who are now called indigenous scientists, we were able now to have space to breathe and as scientists bring out all the scientific protocols that have led us to a level where now I can present my product to Professor Chirenga, who is here in the house, one of the serious researchers in this house, and he can receive my product and say, yes, you are talking some science, it is there. Because we have now a legal framework and we have support of government. And I think, as one of my brothers said, what we are working on is not only for Uganda, but we are looking at the 1.2 billion, more than 1.2 billion on the continent, which is still being marginalized, still being pushed, and our science still being looked at something that cannot be of value. One of the key things is that in the natural therapeutics, the value chain, when you analyze how many people will be engaged in the planting of the medicinal plants that we are using as raw materials in our value chain, you find that medicinal plants will be commercial plants. Today, aloe vera, which was once a herb known to be in the bushes in the western Uganda, today is a commercial plant. People have established commercial plantations. They deliver it because we have established protocol that can be used to extract aloe imodine, which is a known active compound, which we are using in one of our formulations for its bioactivities. Stopped there, but our role at Kazire Health Products is focusing at standardization of natural medicine. Aware that more than 60% of Ugandans, they are still using herbal medicine. Whether they go and pick conventional medicine from the hospitals, they end up using any means. They end up also going to access herbal medicine. So if the role of National Drug Authority, our regulator, is to provide safe, efficacious drugs, then the journey should not be to push away and shy away from this, but to call on scientists to join these indigenous scientists so that we can standardize these drugs. Lucky enough, the WHO guidelines for standardization of drugs is now available, and National Drug Authority has tried to benchmark it and bring it to customize it to our national requirements. And it is through this that we are able to do safety studies, and we can also do acute toxicity studies on a product. We are able to do HPLC profiling, and we can do identification of active compounds. We can do both pharmacokinetic data on any formulation, and once all this is presented, then a product can be looked at and its safety and efficacy can be assessed. One of the two products that we have worked on is Vidicin, which has gone through phase 2 of the clinical trial. I don't want to preempt the work of Professor Chirenga, who is the lead member. He was the PI of all that work that was done, and being done on a natural product designed from the bush to our labs, to our production line, and brought to his desk for analysis. And from there, we believe the data will be shared to the regulator, National Drug Authority, who will finally have us registered, and our product can be accessed at every level. And on this journey, we will have a lot of scientists who will be engaged in the process. We will have a lot of communities which will be engaged in the planting of these medicinal plants that we are using. But also, we are also embracing biotechnology for most of the endangered species and the rare plants. I'm working, one of my researches which I'm doing at Mbarara University of Science and Technology is making sure that I can extract cells from the plant, and I can use a bioreactor, and I can elicitate the process and cause this plant cell to continuously produce the metabolite of interest, which I am focused at. That's why bioassay guided fractionation and phytochemical analysis is so important for us in the natural therapeutic sector. And we believe that the support we are getting continuously is going to lead us to reach where we are going as a nation. And I wish to thank STI for the commitment you are putting. When you go there, you see each person exhibiting various technologies, various forms of science, and you have not rejected any. And I learned that from Professor Gwang. He said, what you do not know does not mean that it is not existing. And my dear professor, that's what I practice every day. I believe that what I do not know, maybe someone knows it better. And it has kept me to be a continuous student, learning, even after an experience of quarter century in the natural therapeutics research. I want to thank you for your dedication and for supporting this initiative that will see our country to greater heights. For God and my country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kazire. Very well said. Let's give a round of applause to our gallant gentlemen, distinguished gallant sons of the soil. Thank you for going to the market. Thank you for driving us out of the laboratory to the markets. Okay, so we are throughout the day, we shall be seeing the work happening in the different laboratories, but also the different parts of industry that the distinguished ladies and gentlemen here represent. But for now, let's just have a snippet of one of them. Over to the screens. of applause. And congratulations, Uganda. Congratulations, Day Biofarmer. Something I want to bring out for us to understand is we've long been doing our science and probably not having where to particularly manufacture from. But what STI has done is create an end-to-end so that you're not thwarted at some point in your science, dear scientists, as you work. This facility is actually a contract manufacturing facility as well. So as we do our work, there's a whole setup, as you've seen, where we are able to do our drugs, our vaccines, our diagnostics. It is huge and the biggest in Africa. And as our panelists plan to go, we shall give only 2 questions from the audience. They will answer and then they will give us their parting shots. Okay, one hand is already up. We have one hand. Hello. Hello. Okay, and the other, just one more.
Can I speak? Okay. Thank you very much. That was a detailed presentation. As you kept thinking, my mind kept going. I had a lot of hierarchy and guardrails or gatekeepers for you to qualify to be your paper, scientific paper, to be published in scientific science preview. It takes a lot of effort. Now, that comes from building institutions. I'm a student of understanding institutions and institutional dynamic. How do we make sure that we establish our strong institution, that Africa can build a scientific, an Afrocentric scientific institution, that we publish our own scientific review papers that are respected? My second question is, do we have an idea on, we see Silicon Valley in the US promoting technology and all that. As Africa, with a lot of biodiversity that are medicinal, can we build a valley or a mountain that give a social structure for all scientists where they can go and think and innovate? Because I've interacted with scientists that are people who don't like hierarchy, they don't like bureaucratic. Is there a possibility where a scientific person can go with a scientific thinking, get a rich social structure where they can innovate that is based here and looking at all over the continent? Because when you're going to provide scientific solutions, they are very expensive. Looking at Uganda, 45 million, you may not have enough market. That building that will require collaboration. Are we able to collaborate as a continent and build that rich structure where scientific come and think, and we know that the solution is targeting 1-something billion population, and that will even make it more affordable, and that also will earn us another extra market, because people are going to be respecting that. Okay. But achieving that will require collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, distinguished delegate, for that question, and I think it runs all through. Just one more short one. Oh, we are good. I think that is thrown to all of us. Yes. Okay. Okay. As we close this panel session.
Yes, thank you very much. My question is being directed to the MD, Microhim. You talked about one of the challenges being lacking the skilled labor in Africa to produce mostly the biologics and the vaccines. So I don't know if you could help shed light on what is actually taking place in Uganda. Are there any efforts in terms of skilling the people that are already in Uganda? Thank you.
Okay, and right.
Thank you very much. You raised a very beautiful question. Before I answer that, I want to encourage everybody. Because when you are talking scientifically, you have to prove it. So go and check out, Google about Dr. Magol, and you'll be able to see these patents I've talked about here. They are there, they exist. The US Patent and Trademark Office has already published these patents, so you can go and read about it. Secondly, when I said we are the first in the world to take a therapeutic protein that was made using mRNA, you can check that information also. It's public information. Can you verify it? Anybody can verify? Are we speaking the truth? It's here. First in the world. You can verify that. Now, to come to my brother's question, he raised a very important question. The reason why I'm doing everything I'm doing in the US is because we lack infrastructure. So I find myself that the only laboratories, the only facilities where I'm able to manufacture my products are in the US. But we also have presence in India and US, Japan, China. So we are working with the entire world. Because you cannot be doing this and say I want to do it only me. But to answer your question, yes, it is possible because that's what we are doing. You've seen our facility here. Once it is complete, we are going to transfer all our technologies in Uganda. We are going to transfer all our patents in Uganda. To answer the second question, can we do a Silicon Valley using our natural methods? I started with Professor Okwanga here. We will work together for a very long time. I left him here and I went to the US. Dr. Kazari here is my hobby. Now, the first drug to make a sales of more than $1 billion is called paclitaxel 40 years ago. It is an anti-cancer, treats cancer. Up to now, we still use it. This drug was got from a plant, Taxus bulbifolio, Pacific Mu. $1 billion from natural sources. Look at quinine from a chincona tree. We are getting this plant from Congo to get quinine. And the list is endless. Look at ashwagandha. Ashwagandha from Somonifera, Uzamia somonifera. It's a plant called Uzamia somonifera. It grows freely in northern Uganda. 5 milligrams of somonifera is $500. So what I want to encourage my brothers, the Kazeris, and the people who are practicing medicinal plants, and we have put that program for you at the Farm. My first product that I did, that has given me all this technology, and that has given the whole world to listen to me, was a malaria drug from a medicinal plant. So I have this formulation that treats malaria, but it's a herbal, it's a plant. So I took it to the US in a very first world laboratory. And in its cold form, it was working better than the normal drugs that they know. These cities, and it was working better than them. So what we did, I extracted the active ingredient and I filed a patent. You can also read about it. Once you extract the active ingredient from this plant, it becomes $1 billion innovation. Because that's what our brothers, the other side, the group, that's what they understand. They don't understand your herbal stuff. So what I encourage my brothers here to do, because they have all the information, is, and I'll give you free information, free service, free knowledge. How do we move from a herbal thing to the active ingredient and find a patent? That one I'm going to give Ugandans free because I've done it before. I think I've answered your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I will touch the two questions, though there was one directed to me, but I also touch the first one because it is very important. That's a very important question. My brother here has answered it. Let me just add a little bit, and I go to my own question. Now, yes, I want us to first of all, before you succeed with bigger things, you need to be appreciative and excited with the smaller thing you have. That gives you the energy to now work harder for a bigger thing. I want to appreciate our universities. Can you clap for them? Okay? They are doing a great job. But what we are talking about is two-phased. The knowledge you get from the university is like the way you start constructing a house. You need a foundation. So, this knowledge that you are getting from these universities is a very big, important part of what we are talking about. It is the foundation. After that, when some of these organizations, some of these companies, like you can see Day, Microhim, Kazire, come up, you are going to generate revenue. Which revenue is going to come back in two phases, in two ways. One, money, the institutions themselves or the companies themselves will be having academies. Like at Microhim, we have an academy. It is going to be hosting around 200 staff, 200 students. In others, you can walk in and learn how to manufacture a product from end to end. But also, the revenue that such organizations are going to generate for our country. Okay, let me give you a small example. East Africa alone, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, Burundi, the first original East Africa, the 5 countries, their budget for HIV, malaria, and TB, for test kits per year, they spend $3.19 billion. This money is collected from each of these countries and spent on these 3 diseases. Imagine if this money is not being spent in China, in India, or wherever, and all that money is coming to Uganda. How many jobs are going to be created here? How much tax? How much tax is going to be created? Foreign income, and you will find even our government will collect enough money now to build such institutions for our young people to join. So I just want to encourage you that we are on the right journey. We haven't just seen the fruits, but we will see the fruits soon. Okay? Now, on skilling Ugandans to become process engineers, production engineers, staff, yes, my brother, we're already doing that. This company, we just commercialized our first 3 products on the market right now. Ugandans are using Ugandan-made product to test HIV, to test malaria. But the day we said we are now going to manufacture for government, my friend, that day when we put out an advert, we received 5,600 responses. All right? And we picked normal Ugandans. My brother, come and ask them. They will tell you every process of how to manufacture this kit. So, next time, another industry is opening or another venture is coming up, they will not begin from zero. Someone in Uganda knows how to manufacture a test kit. Yes, so we are on the right track. Thank you so much.
Thank you. One key thing that we must understand, long time ago, many people had not understood that disease was business. But I'm grateful to the deeper explanation of the government of Uganda to let scientists understand that the disease is business. And that's why my brother is talking about numbers. Me, for the last 25 years I've been in business. Business is not about being busy. And it is a disease for most scientists. You be in the lab, you are busy up and down, you finish a certain study, then you publish, then you hang on the notes board, then you walk that evening like this, but what has come to your pocket? That's why I love Professor Chirenga. He emphasizes that monetizing research. So once scientists in Uganda get to understand this, that everything you are doing before and also I learned that also from Professor Gwang. Before he goes to the lab, he's telling you the product he's intending to put to the shelf. Along the journey, if he fails, that's okay. As a researcher, you should be expecting a yes or no. That's the way forward if you want to avoid bias in your data. And most of the time, this is how it has ended. The moment I remember in 2000, when I put out my first version of Vidicin, by then I was calling it knockoff. I had only $10 in my pocket, and I had to make a decision to start. The biggest challenge when people hear Mr. Magora has been allocated how many billions in the budget, they do not know behind that, before that time when you are being allocated funds in the budget, what did you go through? So that is one thing we must focus on. And again, some people, when they find Kazira health products everywhere, they again feel like Kazira has taken the whole of it. No! There are still so many problems in society. That's why when I meet Professor Gwang, I still learn from him. He still teaches me. As he's teaching me, he visits my facility. He's also learning from me. So we have a challenge of scientists in Uganda who want to keep their small innovations under the armpit. It will grow more while still under your armpit. We must open. The first time I met with Professor Chirenga, he was so excited on how I was open about my science. My brother Dr. Magora said, science is facts. So put the set of facts to the scientific world so that they can understand you. Then we standardize our work to meet international standards. Then money will flow in. At all costs, the pathogens that have been a burden to Uganda will finally turn into an economy for Uganda, where the whole of Africa will be focusing at Uganda for their pathogen solutions. And with that, I hope our economy will grow and we will stand out, as we normally say, that for God and my country. Thank you.
Wow, wow. What a panel. Kindly join me to thank them for a message very, very well delivered. And in their last delivery were their parting shots. As they stand up for a photo moment, I request to be joined by Professor Chirenga, my superintendent, industrial value chains, and Professor Wako. Okay, and Professor from BSU, that is our Professor Vice Chancellor, Bishop Stewart. Let's come to Professor Wilbur. These are products of science. You've had them making mention, and we have our leaders of institutions right here. So we have an opportunity to take a photo with them because they taught them, they are now in industry. Oh yes? Okay.
Thank you very much, Brenda. As we take a photo moment, let's clap for Brenda and the whole panel. Thank you, Brenda, for taking us through this wonderful panel. And thank you, panelists, for the work well done. They are now taking a photo. And then we'll delve into another panel. I want to inform us that we have organized some great tea for all of us. We'll have that later, a little bit, but we have 30 minutes that we are going to engage with another wonderful panel that I would like to introduce to you as the photo moment elapses. Thank you very much, our dear panelists, for the job well done. And thank you, Brenda, for the wonderful vigor and the energy that you have always brought to the STI team. Ladies and gentlemen, our dear scientists, right now we are going into what was supposed to be panel 1, where we are looking at laboratory, the market, and I thought you saw the energy that Dr. Edward Kazire had. So we are moving towards that. Make sure that we see how the laboratory can take us to market. I will welcome Professor Paul Wako. Professor Paul Wako is the Vice Chancellor of Bustima University and is the Chair of the Vice Chancellor's Forum. Let's welcome him with his panel. Those are not welcome hands for the Vice Chancellor of Bustima University. Professor Wako is a scientist, to be more specific, a clinical pharmacologist, and also has done a lot of work in the science world and has made great contribution. I'll be asking him to introduce the other Vice Chancellors, being the Chair of the Vice Chancellors Forum. We have quite a number of Vice Chancellors here, and those online. And I would welcome the foreign people on this panel. Professor Patrick Engeu Ogwan, the masterminder of COVIDX. I partly share him as Mbarara University of Science and Technology, but he's now here as the Executive Director of Jenner Herbals. You're most welcome, Professor. Then we have Professor Moses Jolova, if he's around, if he has already come. Professor Jolova is the Executive Director of Ndio Biosciences Limited. Maybe he will join later. We have Engineer Paul Isaac Musasizi. Are you here already? Engineer Paul. Let's also have Mr. Ivan Douglas Karugaba Baguma. He's right there. You welcome him. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Innovex. The other panelists are going to join, but we have been glad also to be joined by Professor Sabit Wilbur, who will come later to give some remarks in keynote speech, all the way from St. Andrews University, United Kingdom. Let's welcome Professor Wilbur. I know he spent most time traveling. Thank you very much for making it. And I also want to appreciate all of you dignitaries. We'll keep introducing you as you come in. But we have the Superintendent of Industrial Value Chain, Dr. Mwichirize Cosmas. Many people may not know you. You can wave to us if you're around. I think he has just moved out. Oh, right there. Thank you very much, the work that you're doing at STI. So ladies and gentlemen, we have only 30 minutes, and I want to be very humble to request Professor Wako to make sure that the panel observes time. You're most welcome, Professor. You will introduce the other Vice Chancellor and continue with your panel. Thank you very much. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Masters of Ceremonies. We've got 30 minutes.
and we shall apportion it by having, since you are two so far, I think you can use about 7 minutes for your presentation and then we shall leave some few minutes for discussion. As we already introduced, I'm Professor Paul Wako. I'm Vice Chancellor of Mustema University, and if I'm to be homed, I belong to the pathogen economy because I'm a clinical pharmacologist by training. Allow me to take this opportunity as Chair of the Vice Chancellors to request all Vice Chancellors and heads of institutions to rise up who are present here. I know quite a number. Let me also take this opportunity to invite my good friend, Professor Vincent and Bob, to join the panel and answer these questions as well. Professor Vincent is the director of the Mustema University Center for Agro Entrepreneurship that is supported by the STI. You are warmly welcome. Let me now, we have a strong team of scientists, people I've really interacted with. I was extremely excited when I was made to chair this panel. I recall Professor Moses Joloba. We left Uganda on the same week when I was traveling south, University of Cape Town for my PhD. Joloba moved north to the University of Case Western in the US to study his PhD. We moved in the same week. We left Ogwang behind. But when we came back, he had also left us in innovation. So you are warmly welcome. It is a pleasure. Dr. Musasizi has been in engineering. I think he's also one of those we left behind, but again found when he had done a lot of innovations. And similarly, Ivan, it is a pleasure to be with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to request members of this panel to give us some information as to how they have managed to take science to from laboratory to actual enterprises. I know that the biggest challenge we have in universities today is transferring the knowledge that we generate in laboratories into business enterprises. And this is actually the story which we would like this meeting to unravel. So I will start with the Professor Egwan. Can you briefly take us through how you managed to establish the enterprises that you can tell us a bit more about from the innovations that you have developed in the laboratory? We know very well you have been an academic for a long time, but still you were able to go into actual business enterprises. So Professor Egwan, we would like to hear your story, and in the interest of time, I request you also to include some challenges that you faced and some of the future perspectives of this concept with reference to Uganda universities. Thank you.
I don't know whether it's still morning or afternoon. Is it still morning? Yes. Okay, good morning. You allow me to speak while seated. First, I want to begin by thanking God Almighty that we are here today as scientists, policymakers, and Ugandans celebrating the first National Science Summit. We can't take it for granted. By His mercy and grace that we are here today. I also want to use this chance, first of all, to thank the organizers of this function, Honorable Dr. Monica Musanza, for carrying the vision of science in this country. We know that before she came on board, we never used to hear about scientists and science work with industry or meeting such a forum. So I want to thank her for the leadership she's showing. And of course, we cannot forget the government of Uganda, led by President Museveni. Whenever I talk about other countries and meet other scientists, they admire our president. They say, I wish we could give the President Museveni to be their president in their country. So we should be grateful for that. So the leader of the side and the last side. I also want to this channel again emphasize what the minister is saying. I think we're telling the professional and others mentorship, mentor the people who will follow them. I'm very glad that Professor Wako, who told me to apologize in another one is here, giving me more questions today, giving me questions today. At the Masters, was again asking me questions. At PhD was asking me questions. When I was going to Associate Professor, was asking me my work. And today again, he's giving me questions. So I want to thank you for your efforts in my life. So the question is, how did I manage to move from research to industry? First of all, I think I joined research in 2004 at the as a research officer. And while I was there, one of my nephews, I was informed by the mother that he has sickle cell disease and told him to start with him. So what I did first is to review plant matter that could be used for sickle cell disease. And I found publications by Professor Wako, Professor Guan, and Professor J, and I began from there. But I want to do that the first book I published, I was there with Professor Wako. When I submitted for review, I got comments, and one of them was so difficult for me to answer to my first paper. So I went to his office and I sat down with him, and within 30 minutes I solved the problem. And so that's it, and published as my first review paper. So thank you. Now, I found a plant called the Bileti or Jalita Uganda has anticoagulant properties. So I decided to make a medicine for my nephew. I first got that plant, entered the laboratory, and tested for safety. When I found that it was safe, then I went to do a syrup. Usually I took animals to test it to be able to prevent anticoagulant. And I found that it was working. So I got that medicine to my nephew. And after like 2 weeks, the price went up. And I want to tell you that Apple now is alive. More than 30 years. More than 30 years. But from there, one day I got land in the other side. I used to be a farmer also. So I went to check on my land and I passed my neighbor's home. And there was a young boy, about 12, 13 years, sitting under the sun. And I asked the grandmother that, what's the problem with this boy? She told me that the boy has a kidney problem. A problem with kidney. The kidneys, and we are here sitting under the sun. I asked his members. We got back to another hospital, I found out he has sickle disease, but it affected his life. I told the grandmother that I have medicine about my medicine working. So the following day, I went back to the medicine for the boy, and I gave it to him. After 1 week, I went back to my land and I passed there. I don't find him, he was called Boyaya, sitting under the sun. I thought he was not there, so I asked the grandmother, where's Joshua? He said, he has gone back to school, only school. I said, no. The school father said, not fast. I went there with the grandfather. We fought in a class studying. The medicine had helped me to go back to school. Now, one time I went to Ethiopia to do my research in Ethiopia. And I spent there 1 month. When I came back, I got a call from the father who he had died. I asked myself, what happened? He said, we look for you to make practice medicine. We called your number and they are off. From that time, I started make medicine and put the shell in pharmacies. So that is my company, I told you I was limited. And I began manufacturing medicine under that company and give it to pharmacists to pay. So if you want to Uganda, they can access the medicine and nobody else is not around. So that's how I became the kind of manufacturing commercial. But I think one thing that for a long time, that was what I said. However, there are people who are facing different challenges. Diabetes, ulcers, and all this. But what I did first was to do a research for the plant I got a number of them to safety. They are people parties and don't know what they do. And if you look at that product, the one that I did 10 years ago and the ones I'm doing now, such as 10 years ago. So without understanding the material you're working with, you cannot make a product. First, understand the material, its science, and then solve the problem. So after that, I began making calls for answers and I'm doing it now. At the beginning, I faced one challenge. I would make the medicines, take them to the pharmacy, and the patient like the medicine they are working, but they will burst. You know, they're going to just burst. So when I went to Frank, I said, but why do you think they're going to burst? The medicines are good, people like it, but what? It's going partial. So I learned the value of natural preservation. I saw that also. In other words, when you begin a journey, you are challenged. From lab to industry, you are changing the process. You are changing the mechanism of making the medicine. So you have to understand the science of what you are doing before you move to industry. And that's what I was solving. During the time of COVID, we all remember, when COVID came, we were all looking for a solution. I had this formula that I developed like 7 years before. I knew it could kill viruses, I knew it was safe. When my colleague became sick, a professor in Barrow University, I gave him, and within 2 days he was negative. Then after COVID, I gave him and recovered within 2 days. So, because I didn't know that this product can kill viruses, I could give it to them, and I was sure of safety. So, in terms of challenges, of course, there are financial challenges are there, but if you are committed, as Dr. Makola said, you will never give up. We have been through many years of struggle. Use your own pocket money to begin something, but along the way, government will see you and give you the support. So I want to end by saying that right now, my company employs more than 100 people, scientists, in Jena. And every year we train students from Barara, from all universities that come here for placement. You are welcome to visit our laboratory in Luzira, and also we are building a bigger one in Soroti, so you are all welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Wang. Our next panelist is Mr. Ivan Douglas Karugava. We are now talking about homegrown IT solutions. Innovex Uganda, isn't it? Yes, tell us a bit more about Innovex Uganda and why you were able to get to go to enterprise level to fight the various challenges many people cite.
Thank you very much, Professor. All protocol observed. Good morning. As introduced, my name is actually Baguma Douglas, and I am the CEO of Innovex Uganda Limited. At Innovex, our dream is to transform Uganda into a global electronics manufacturing powerhouse. One of the things that inspired us to start Innovex was when you look around, it is very rare, or it's even uncommon, for you to find a technology that has been made in Africa and is being sold across the world. You can find a technology that a population of close to 1.2 billion people in Africa make, and they are selling either to Asia, to Europe, or to America. If that has ever disturbed you. And enough, as Uganda, on an annual basis, we're importing close to 3 trillion shillings worth of electronics from just China. This is a single country. From China alone, we're importing 3 trillion shillings worth of electronics. And it is well known that on an annual basis, we are graduating close to 1 million graduates in Uganda. It's coming close to 1 million from all these universities that are here today. And disturbing enough, you find that some of our best and brightest students who have done, degrees such as engineering, computer science, are being repurposed. They're being repurposed by banks, they're being repurposed by audit firms to do audit work. And fun enough, it is the same country, Uganda, which is importing electronics, importing almost everything, where you find that most of our girls are flying in thousands of numbers, flying out to Saudi Arabia looking for jobs. This is what really moved us as Innovex. And fast forward, we have established the first of its kind electronics manufacturing facility. And we have secured global partnerships for technology transfer. We're working with a number of partners from Belgium, from the UK, to transfer knowledge on how to manufacture electronics into Uganda. Innovex has a very humble story. Personally, because I needed new challenges beyond academia, I got exposed. I tried to expose myself to as many opportunities as possible back at the university. And this is where I started to get involved in, co-curriculars. I started doing some bit of business as I was doing my engineering degree at the College of Engineering. And there was also this interesting program that was called iLabs under a presidential initiative. Together with a couple of friends, as we graduated, we noticed that we had very superior skills in product development, electronic product development. And even at the time, we were being consulted by PhD students to come and help them build prototypes. That's how good we were. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how Innovex started. We continued seeking for problems, challenges in our society that we could solve. And I'm so happy to say that on the 10th of April this year, we launched a very huge partnership where we are going to start, or we have started manufacturing electronics for solar water pumps here in Uganda. There are some pictures that I shared. Maybe we can have a look at those. So this is our facility where we're doing the manufacturing of electronics in Uganda. And it's important for me to mention that we are the first, not just Africans, but we are the first, Innovex team is the team of the first black people to manufacture electronics that are being sold across the world. So our dream, of course, when you look at electronics, they cut across all industries, be it agriculture, be it health, education, and today everything is becoming electronic, especially with the coming of AI. The global electronics industry is a $600 billion industry, 600 billion, projected to grow to over 1 trillion in the next 10 years. And in building Vision 2040, we believe as Innovex that 20% of our GDP come 2040 should be coming from the electronics industry. This could be the manufacturing of electronics, design of electronic products, and other services in the electronics industry. On getting a product to market, through, when I look back and try to see what really got us moving, very importantly is identifying a problem that you're working on, that you should be working on. And of course, as you might know, Uganda were not short of problems. I do not believe that is the biggest issue for very many innovators. It is not whether they have failed to identify a problem or not. But the second one, of building a team, I believe is where very many of us fail as innovators, as scientists. A business is there to make money. And that is the only way it can sustain itself. And beyond the push that STI is giving us today, it is important that as a company, as an innovator, you think about how you're going to sustain yourself. STI is not going to be there forever. So when you're composing your team, many of us, the mistake we make is we mostly bring on board people with similar skills. You're an engineer, you find that the team is composed only of engineers, electrical engineers, if you're an electrical engineer, and that is where we go wrong. It's very important to bring on board different disciplines as you're building your team. And of course, for a young business, being able to sell is key. You need to convince people to buy your product. And I'm sure the difference between Kazire today and other people that probably failed along the way is he got to the market and started selling. And it is only now that the government is actually trying to help. Of course, in going to the market and building any business, there are a number of challenges. And I don't think even 30 minutes is enough to talk about challenges of doing business, especially if you're in Uganda. But I want to talk about how it's possible to overcome them. And personally, I feel this is always around the people, especially you, the founder. If you ask me what the most important skill could be as an innovator, I would say nothing short of persistence. You have to be persistent. You have to push, to build your dream, to bring your business to life. You have to be driven, curious, and most importantly, one thing that we struggle with ourselves is belief. I'm sure as most of our professors were presenting, some Ugandans were asking themselves, it is still witchcraft. That doubt, that inability to believe in yourself that it is possible, to believe in yourself that you can do it, is what is killing most of us. You have to believe that it is possible, and it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ivan. We would have wished to have a lot more time to hear this story, and I hope colleagues will look for you after this meeting. Our last panelist this afternoon is Professor Vincent Anibog, who is the Director of Agro Entrepreneurship Center at Westema University. It is amazing, and the question is, who does an innovation? Professor Vincent, I was requested to source a director for the Agro Entrepreneurship Center, and I presented a CV of a professor of analytical chemistry to Westema University Council for appointment as a professor in leadership and agro entrepreneurship. Professor Vincent, I invite you to come and clarify how all this comes to be.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to congratulate STI for this wonderful, wonderful conference. Yes, I'm going to speak from another perspective entirely. As you heard, I have a PhD in analytical chemistry, and I practiced analytical chemistry for more than 20 years in the United States of America. But in 2004, I left chemistry. Why? I found my passion. The first statement I want to make is that if we are going to build anything great that will have global impact, you must find your passion. It's your passion that will push you to put more than an average effort and make sure that your idea succeeds. So I found out that my passion is actually leadership development. I was burdened by the fact that we have so many educated Africans that have been to some of the best institutions in the world, yet we can't build anything. That tells me that PhD is not enough. Beyond your area of expertise, you need leadership skills. You need management skills. I was consulting for the Standard Organization of Nigeria. They had invited me to help them establish quality standards in their bureau. So I introduced the ISO 9000, ISO 14000, ISO 17025, and even ISO 22000. I will come back later and find that nothing was done. Why? No leadership skills to execute. That's when I realized that the most critical thing Africa must develop are passionate and transformational leaders that can lead change. So in 2008, I started the Institute for National Transformation, not just in Uganda, in Nigeria, and in 8 other African nations. I'm here to announce to you that within this dynamic movement is a product of our institute. What if I had stayed in the lab playing with molecules? And Honorable Dr. Monica can tell you that coming to the institute was a turning point for her. She's not the only one. We have trained people like Alan Kajina and quite a number of them. What am I trying to say? You have some fantastic ideas, but you will never grow and be great until you yourself become what Jim Collins called a level 5 leader. If you read the book, Grow to Get Great. Secondly, if you're not able to build a competent team that can flow with you, the reason STI has grown and made so much impact in such a short time is because Honorable Dr. Monica had intentionally groomed people like Dr. Cosmos and the rest of them that are flowing with them. So a chemist turned into a leadership guru, but I can tell you that our impact, by the way, His Excellency, the Ambassador of Uganda to US, is a product of our institute, and there are quite a number of them. So I want to encourage you, as big as you think, please give serious thoughts to leadership development and building the capacity of your people. I will stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, the 3 panelists. We shall allow 3 questioners before we close. There is number 1 there. Sorry? You need to give them the microphone. Number 2, any lady asking a question? Because the first 2 are mainly on this side. If none, then I will take Dr. Magola, and possibly we can take a 4th one as long as you are quick. The 2 of you can ask. Over to you. Keep your hands up.
Thank you so much. My name is Robert Mugume Tinyefuza. My question goes on with appreciating what the government of Uganda is doing and also bringing science to reality. We've heard, and research says that we take much time for us to develop solutions, 5 to 10 years, 15 and also. But the world has now moved to data systems and artificial intelligence and also augmented reality. What is the government talking about AI. Africa is saying that AI is actually making people lazy, but the Western world is investing billions and billions of money to see that AI is taken in as a language to translate how our local people who have not gone to school to understand how solutions can be modeled. So my question goes to the universities around here and the government of Uganda. What are we talking about AI and it being integrated into research? Thank you.
Where's the next one? Thank you, thank you. AI universities respond. John Mugisha, will you try to respond to what universities are doing about AI? Yes, please do. Yes, next.
Okay, thank you. Reis Bwampale, a researcher at the Water and Energy Research Center of Ndeje University. I think if I have any question, it won't be far away from the integration between educational institution and the industry. I am curious to know from our experts, what do you think is most critical to actualizing what we need as a government in the industry side, but through the educational system? Because I have been leading the research centers at Ndeje University, and I realize that it is such a struggle to actualize things, because I have a Japanese experience. That's why I had most of my researches. I realized that it is too hard to get financing from the industry side and get prototypes to scaling. It's like you somehow have to ensure you work both at the university and the industry for you to take student projects to what? To scaling up. Like you have to be the same person in the industry, same person, which is not the case. In Japan, was you are a professor or any researcher in the institution, you actually are very sure of the government inputs in ensuring that whatever you are developing at the research institution goes to the industry. So what do you think is missing in Uganda, and how best can we go about it? Because I'm still challenged.
Thank you very much. Second last question, Mr. Dr. Magola.
Thank you so much. Mine goes to the engineer and actually to the universities here. Nevada, the evaluation is bigger than the entire African continent combined. Because the evaluation is more than $3 trillion. Nevada, a company that started about 30 years ago. Because they are designing and manufacturing advanced chips. The chips are what you need to do what you are doing, the electronics. So my question then, are you importing the chips to be able to make the panels you are making, or you are just assembling after importing some of these components already made? And to the universities, what plan do you have to at least put these courses in place for younger people to go into the future? Because manufacturing microchips is the future if Africa wants to come up. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Your neighbor had put up his hand. It is your so thank you very much. Oh, there is a lady. Please ask only one. That's the last one.
Thank you very much. My name is Angela Ninemontu. I work for a company called Vision Scientific. We help scientists like those with equipment to do their research. My question goes to the engineer. He said theirs is the first company to manufacture electricals, not only in Africa, but in the whole world with a team of blacks. And that is really admirable and quite inspirational. My question, because I come from the background where quality is very key, I would like him to take us through what quality measures you take to make sure that your product is not only fit for the Ugandan market, but for the international market. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. I will now start from Professor Patrick, then Engineer, then Professor Vincent. You make any response to anything that has struck you. Over to you, Patrick. And finally, Professor John, you'll make some comments about issues related to universities.
I think I'll respond to the issue on industry-academia relationship. Can you be a professor and also be an entrepreneur? I think I am either a victim of it or I'm a driver of it. I believe strongly that professors should have practical places where they go to experiment, develop practically, as opposed to sitting in class and lecturing theory. And because of that, for me, in my philosophy, before I do any research, I'm looking at what product will come out of this. If you look at my publications, they're all linked to a product, most of them. Because I want to be practical in what I'm doing, turn my research knowledge or output into a product and money. Now, I think you all remember when Covidex came up, there was a war, some bit of war. Who owned the Covidex? That situation always happens if you're in academia and you're also in private. So, first of all, number one, we need to have either laws or they call them they call them what? Like a guideline on if you're a researcher in the industry, what belongs to you and what in the university, what belongs to you and what does not belong to you. Can you bring a product from the industry to the university to do research on? Can you take a formula from the university to the private, and how is it handled? In the UK, they have made it better. If I work at the university and I innovate, 80% of that innovation is given to me, and the university takes 20%. That encourages people to create things. Because I'm the one who sits write the proposal, get the money, make the product. A university cannot own it more than me. So for me, I think that we need to improve our laws. I need to encourage professors to be practical by having their own industry or laboratory or farm where they go to practice and even take students to show them practical things. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those questions. Starting off with the question on the education system. One of the things that got me into co-curricular was, I remember vividly my first lecture at the College of Engineering, when our lecturer brought a heap of notes, threw them on the table, and he told us, here are the notes, go and read. We'll be discussing, then in 2-3 weeks you'll have a test. In my mind, I was like, not again. I think we all remember, I don't know what your experience was like, but for me, going through EVO was a lot of trauma, having to read chemistry 3 papers, physics 3 papers, and you have to put all those in your head. I thought university would be different. So I took it upon myself to look for other opportunities, because I really wanted my experience at university to be different. And that is why I ventured beyond the lecture room. And sometimes you find that as a student, it is some of those things you are doing outside class that actually feeding you to death. It's funny and interesting. But it is because you joined that club, it's because you became part of a particular activity that you learned some of these skills that later in life become very meaningful. Of course, on top of the education, that you have. So in as much as the system is broken, as it is, no debate, it is upon you as an individual to look for opportunities. They are there. The opportunities are there. There are very many projects ongoing at the university that you can be part of. So design your own system. Don't look at the system that has been designed for you. On the question of manufacturing versus assembly, when you look at any value chain, but for this I'll focus on the electronics value chain. There's a lot of players. If you're making a car, and probably a Mercedes-Benz, you have people who are making tires, you have people who are making the wires, people who are making the seats, and at the end of the day, as a brand, Mercedes-Benz, you bring all this together and you manufacture the product, the final product, which is the vehicle. So just as that value chain, for the electronics value chain, electronics are mostly, chips are mostly made of sand. Sand. This is sand that you find in Luera. If you have ever wondered why people put our sand on planes and export it to their countries, it's because they're making these chips, very good and pure sand. That is where chips start, as sand. So from the chips, from the sand, you have what they call silicon wafers. This is pure silicon from which they cut the chips. That is one industry. Then there's the industry of the designers, people that are designing the chips, people that are designing the products. So you have the designers coming to a contract manufacturer such as Innovex and asking us, can you make for me this product? Of course, we'll get the chips that have been manufactured from the sand, we'll get other components, and then we'll manufacture a final product. So yes, we're manufacturing electronic products. And these are already being distributed across the world. For quality, I believe this is a very important question, because in as much as quality is important, in some industries, especially if you're starting, if you're not careful, quality can be a deterrent, quality management. If you look at the first electronics that we're manufacturing, and if these electronics had been made for the health sector, we would not have taken off. And this is because of the stringent quality measures you have to go through to bring a product, a health product, to the market. Of course, that is understandable because you're dealing with people's lives. But we're lucky that the industry we started was not very stringent on quality. And over time is how we've built quality. So, of course, quality is in two phases. One is you could have the product itself being certified. So the different certificates you can look at, mostly ISO certificates. And of course, lab tests, such as ensuring that it is not radiating dangerous irradiation. So you have to do EMC measurements. And there are standards that have been adopted by Europe. So you have to ensure that your product is adhering to, they call it ROHS. And other quality standards, mostly towards SOPs, it's ISO. You can look at ISO standards. We comply with ISO 9001:2015 as Innovex. So that is how we work with quality. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to conclude with this. In as much as we invest a lot of time training, molding, reshaping, and helping top leaders to lead transformational organizations. As the director of Busitema University Agro-Entrepreneurship Center, we are bringing this transformational mentality and infusing it in the youths so that they can do agripreneurship with that transformational mindset. And so we selected about 100 youths, trained them for about 18 days residentially, waking up every morning by 5 and going to bed by midnight for 3 weeks. I can assure you by the time it ended, they were totally different individuals. Now when you put agripreneurship skills on them and you give them money, of course you monitor that, they will produce. We've tested it in Nigeria and we are now Entrepreneurship Center, we are bringing this transformational mentality and infusing it in the youth so that they can do agripreneurship with that transformational mindset. And so we selected about 100 youths, trained them for about 18 days residentially, waking up every morning by 5 and going to bed by midnight for 3 weeks. I can assure you by the time it ended, they were totally different individuals. Now when you put agripreneurship skills on them and you give them money, of course you monitor that, they will produce. We've tested it in Nigeria and we are now testing it here in Uganda, and we're seeing some great results. So the summary is you need people, whether at the top, at the bottom, that have transformational mentality to achieve greatness. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Professor John Mugisha.
Thank you very much. I'm John Mugisha, Vice Chancellor of Bishop Stewart University. I'm told I'm given 2 minutes, but let me mention that I'm lucky AI invaded universities when I was a VC initially of Cavendish University, Uganda, now Bishop Stewart University. There was resistance. Actually, even fear that AI is going to get the universities to produce fake graduates. Now we are past that. We have realized that we can use AI for effective teaching and learning, and we are doing this. About 2 weeks ago, I was in Kigali speaking at an AI conference. Actually, we had over 25 universities. I realized that we don't have policies, although we are using AI, because we don't know enough. We use AI in student admissions to help us detect those that sneak through with low grades and are below the admission criteria, don't meet the admission criteria. We use AI in personalized teaching and learning to help us detect students' needs, and you use virtual teaching assistants, to support students' learning and to do personalized learning. Of course, also to assist students who are weak. We all know that students are using chatbots. Sometimes if the lecturers are not serious, you can be confused as a lecturer. So the lecturers have to be trained also to know this. But let me mention something about innovations and AI. I have my Dean of Faculty of Science and Technology and one of the innovators here. We are using AI in innovations. I have realized that in the Faculty of Agriculture, when they teach animal health production, when they detect that animals like a particular type of pasture or a particular herb, they use simple things like planting it. Planting it to, you put it on just the leaf of a plant, and it gives you the scientific name. And then you use that one to understand the level of nutritional capacity, potential of the plant, its therapeutic properties, of course also its level of toxicity, And if you want to deal with the toxicity, it also helps you to know the formulations that you can do. We are using this to improve our teaching, animal health production, agriculture. We have an innovations hub, actually, where we are also using this. I have seen that our innovators into herbal medicine, and many of them were trained by Professor Guang, and I think probably they have interacted with Kaziri and others. When they know that their mothers were using a particular herb, let me just say blackjack, Biden's pillows for treatment. They just use PlantNet and other forms of AI to capture it and know its scientific name. Then they follow it up to know its therapeutic properties, its level of toxicity. And using that, they have come up with various products that are now being tested. Some for treating ulcers, others for healing wounds of animals. I think STI has already listed us for a grant to manufacture, to continue to test our product for treating foot and mouth disease. There are other products to deal with a number of other ailments, both for animals, for plants, organic fertilizers, and all sorts of things. So yes, universities are using AI. Is there a policy? The chair of our forum is here. And before him, I was a vice chair of Uganda Vice Chancellor's Forum. I'm also a member of the National Council for Higher Education. And I chair the Quality Assurance and Accreditation Committee. We actually do not have a policy on AI because we do not know enough. You know, the worst thing is to make a policy and then you realize that what is more useful has been stopped by that policy. So universities are at different stages. I think as NCHE we are coming now together. Our recent NCHE week was focused on AI. I was one of the speakers there. And we are trying to take stock of what different universities are doing. And then to get a team to go even out of this country to work with others. I'm on the Research and Development Working Group of East African Science and Technology Commission. And we have interests at the level of ISTECO. So we want to welcome industry. If you are using AI at a higher level, please work with us. Support the universities, support you. But gradually, we are getting there. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Allow me to thank our three panelists and all those who asked questions. I should say two things about universities. That one, almost all universities have embraced curricular reform. We are reforming our training curriculum. And industry-university partnerships are critical. We are pushing for a national policy and, if possible, a law to govern industrial placement of students. So the process is ongoing, and I believe even AI policy is going to be worked out so as to meet the society expectations. So thank you very much. You've been such a wonderful audience, and I want to stop here. I request you to clap for our three panelists and wish you a good lunch.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause to Professor Paul Wako and your team. You will remain there for a photo moment. Just have a photo moment. I'll request. We have been joined by one of our leaders at STI, the Undersecretary at STI, Mr. Peter Orien. Can you stand up for recognition, sir? So I request you to come and join this team so that they can have a photo with you. And also the chair of the scientific team that has organized this, Professor Bruce, can have a photo with Professor Mujisha. You can join the Vice Chancellor of Bishop Stewart University. Let's have the photo moment. Our dear camera people, can you take this photo quickly? Thank you very much. We are moving on well. Thank you. At this moment, we are going to break for only 20 minutes. We'll have a break tea, and our break tea will be served just as you move out. Move on your right. There's a team that is going to usher you this other side on my